Has the lockdown buried you, your business, or your family in debt? If so, then listen up. There's hope and help at hand. For tips on how you can dig yourself out of mounting debt, we're now joined by Moeshfieka Botha. She's the head of research and consumer education at National Debt Advisors. Moeshfieka, thank you so much for your time. Has there been a shift during the pandemic where we're seeing not just low-income households being plunged into debt and more middle income and even some of the wealthier families feeling the crunch a bit?
Hi, good morning. Absolutely. If there's one thing that this pandemic and the subsequent lockdowns has shown is that middle-class South Africa has definitely been affected. Middle-class South Africa has been more affected than anyone else. Normally, you would look and say, okay, if somebody is earning 8,000 Rand a month and their salary has not been affected at all, they'll continue living at 8,000 Rand a month. What happened was that those who were earning 40,000 Rand a month with debt expenditure and household expenditure at 39,000 Rand for the month, if they saw a salary cut to 30,000 Rand for the month, they are now short of 10,000 Rand just to survive. And so it's not anymore about how much you earn, but more about your income to debt ratio. We have also found that it's definitely the levels of unsecured debt has risen dramatically. You're looking at, on average, between 30 and 35% higher than what we had in 2016. And in households earning over 20,000 Rand a month, you're looking at the levels of unsecured debt up to 50% higher than 5 years ago. That is a clear indication that people are turning to unsecured debts like personal loans and credit cards and retail store cards just to get by, and that is concerning.
I suppose the first step in then trying to reduce debt is to understand what got you in debt in the first place. So what's the most common debt trap that South Africans are falling into?
Well, right now, debt seems to be more out of necessity than a couple of years ago when it was for luxury. South Africans are also very, very prone to getting themselves into debt simply so that they can have the nicer things in life. South Africans are very prone to want to show the Joneses, want to keep up with the Joneses. Right now, there are very, very few Joneses, and we have to get out of that trap. We have to get out of the trap of saying, okay, this is what's going to make me look good. This is what's going to have me more accepted. This is what's going to put me with the in crowd. No, right now, we've got to stop that mentality and say, what do I do to get myself out of debt? What do I do to eradicate my debt so that I can get to a point of financial freedom and not be dependent on credit cards and on personal loans? We do have options. What we must be doing is looking at where do we cut down? What can I cut down from so that I can take that bit of money and put it towards a debt payment? If you're not able to deal with your debt on your own, if you feel overwhelmed, you might want to make use of the options of a registered, credible, NCR-monitored debt counselor. That would be one option. As well, it's not going to work for everyone, but it is an option. And right now, South Africans need to start equipping themselves with the correct information, going to the correct sites, getting the correct information and education that can get them out of debt. We also need to really start looking at the interest rates that we are paying. If we could do something like take a look at every account that you've got, write it down, look at what you're paying the highest interest rate on, make the attempt to pay that first. But to sit back and just be snowballed is not going to do anybody any good.
Moeshfieka, you've given us a couple of strategies there, going into debt counseling, tackling the highest interest rate first of all the debt that you have. What are the other do's and don'ts when I realize I'm in debt and I'm trying to get out of it? What's the best strategy?
The best strategy would also be to stop making debt. Obviously, if you're in a place where you have skipped debt payments, it is going to start reflecting on your credit record, and you're not going to be able to get any further credit from a reputable credit provider. Here we come back to what is very uniquely sometimes a South African problem with mashonisas, with loan sharks, and unregulated microlenders who are charging exorbitant interest rates. Please do not get into the space where you are taking from microlenders at interest rates of up to 100 and 150%. Do not do that. Do whatever you can to stay away from the unregulated microlenders with the exorbitant interest rates. Again, we have to look at practical tips. We have to look at where can we save on our electricity? How can we save on our transport? Do we carpool? Do we switch off the geyser during the day? If you're saving 10 Rand on your electricity each and every single day, 10 Rand over a month is 300 Rand. 300 Rand can plug a gap somewhere. So it is about starting small, doing the little changes that can add to big changes. Look at things like your policies. Look at how many policies you have covering you for the same thing. Look at how many times you've paid for death cover in all of your policies. If you've got death cover at 19 Rand over 10 policies, you're only going to die once and you might only need the one death cover. So take the others away. 20 Rand over 10 gives you 200 Rand. Look at your bank charges. South Africans are running short of getting to work on the last 2 and 3 days of the month simply because we don't take our bank charges into account.
Yeah.
If you're not transacting in a bank account, why do you need a bank account which charges you 300 Rand? And you can have the same you can have a similar bank account at your same bank, which is just structured more to what you need. And it's about the 200 Rand and the 300 Rand and the 400 Rand that adds up to a substantial amount and make a difference that you can put towards your debt, start eradicating your debt, and get to some sort of financial freedom.
Well, Moeshfieka, thank you so much for that very practical advice that's much needed in the country at the moment. Moeshfieka Botha, the head of research and consumer education at National Debt Advisors, with some tips on how to reduce debt.
Yeah, she was great.
Yeah.
I think one of the hardest parts of being in debt is acknowledging that you're in debt and taking that step forward to get help.
Yeah.
That's the tough part.
It can be quite